And we are back. Young New Yorkers is a not-for-profit organization that's dedicated positively to transforming teens and how their teens' lives and young individuals can encounter the legal system, and I should say the criminal legal system in New York City. Now, over the past decade, they've successfully diverted more than 1,400 young people from incarceration as well as other penalties. Joining me now is the executive director of Young New Yorkers, Bobbie L.A. Brown. And Bobbie, good to have you.
Hi, good morning. Thanks for having us.
Good morning. You know, we always talk about that school to prison pipeline.
Yeah.
We know that that's really real. But then to have something that's actually out there and available to give young people an opportunity, you guys are really capturing that and doing that. Talk to us about the work that you're doing right now.
Yeah, absolutely. Again, thanks for having us. So Young New Yorkers is an art-based nonprofit that provides diversion opportunities to young folks who are charged with an eligible misdemeanor or felony. And this is across all 5 boroughs. And so what we do is that we center the power of art, right? We understand that the process of an arrest is also very traumatic for young people, or anybody really, right? That coupled with a charge, coupled with the fear of the unknown. So we know the power of art. We've seen the power of that be translated through multiple generations and multiple capacities. So we center that, and we have our young people immerse themselves in various mediums, from sculpturing to contemporary painting to oral storytelling. And what we get them to understand is, who are you in this space, right? How do you want to define yourself outside of the narrative that's created for you, outside of the system that's already been put in place on you? How do you craft yourself beyond this tribulation, beyond this arrest? Because that's not how you're defined. And so we use that art because it's so fluid, it's so subjective, it's so accessible, because art is New York and New York is art. And so because of that, we've helped young people really be able to not just continue an artistic practice, but understand the therapeutic aspects that come with it.
So if a young person's arrested, let's walk through it. Go to the court system, right? Here's the chance for you to redeem yourself. We're going to put you in a program, actually, that gives you an opportunity. They come to you. They come through your doors.
Yes.
Talk to me about the receptivity on the other end from them. Because, you know, when you have that charge, you talk a lot about the trauma. There is trauma associated with when a person comes through with arrest. How are you navigating that trauma to be able to say, listen, I got something for you. This might be bad, but this could be better?
All various ways. There's no one approach because they're not cookie cutters, right? New Yorkers are so dynamic, and our young people are so dynamic. But what we do is tone setting, right? We help them create what kind of space would be preferable for you, right? So we ask a lot of questions about the space that they want to center themselves in for that 3-hour session that they're with us for, right? They're also in groups of young people who are similarly situated, so they're not by themselves. Our teachers are brilliant artists, right? So as soon as they walk into the room, they're met with that energy, right? They met with that vibe of welcomeness. There's no structure, there's no strictness. It's sit down and let's unpack, right? With the flow and this mediation type of approach to it. And I think that has really kind of set the tone for why we've been successful. That coupled with the fact that when our young folks come to us, young people are bright, so they see how you're engaging with them and they become open. And they are able to share a lot of the issues that got them connected to their arrest and why they're either surrounded by young people who are getting them to make those type of decisions, or how their environment is influencing towards those decisions.
In order to have a diversion program, you first have to get buy-in, right? You have to get buy-in from the powers that be. I mean, that means judges, courts, lawyers, and that sort. What do you think makes the difference for them to say, hey, we can actually create this and okay this for young people to be able to come under your supervision because we believe in you?
Realism, right? The fact of the matter is we prosecute communities of color anyway, whether that's through the legal system, or whether that's through disinvestment in social services, right? So at some part, we have to figure out some balance, right? And so when you look at the rate of incarceration for Black and brown people, and you look at the types of charges that Black and brown folks are being incarcerated for, and then you look at the young folks and look at the types of charges that they are committing, where are we getting with over-incarcerating? What are we getting with putting them in jail over and over from the age of 12 to 13 to 15 and 16? Because that's the age that we're working with. So I think the criminal justice community, myself being an attorney working in that space as well, right, recognizes that this disproportionate response to low-level offenses are not getting us where we need to, right? It's creating constituency for next generations who are going to be discombobulated with the system. So I think there is a realism or a respect to us being more nurtured-focused, us realizing our young people are just that, young, right? And they have the space to make mistakes. They deserve to make mistakes, and it's our responsibility, whether we are legally connected, to bring them up.
We know that what the possibilities are, right? If a young person's charges do go through, that stays on their record, right? But then if they go to your program, they have the opportunity to have possibly a case dismissed
Yes.
and also sealed.
Yes.
Let's talk about that impact, because that's huge.
Yeah, I think that's pretty. I think that's one of the areas that always gets me choked up, right? The idea of myself being just as involved, right? Having had a record, having had to move through that at my young age, and not had the opportunity to have a diversion program, right? For our young people, they can dream, right? They can see beyond tomorrow. They can think like, I made a mistake, my environment's going to support me, and I can go forward and actually being a participating constituency here. Yeah.
I want to talk a little bit about the graduate leadership program here.
Yeah, it's awesome, right? Because it's about continuous long-term engagement, right? It's about showing up, and that's why we created a graduate program. That's why we continue to have opportunities. So our young folks who graduate from our programs, any of our programs, can continue to come back to Young New Yorkers and engage in art, employment, stay connected, and what have you, and be paid $20 to $22 per hour for their involvement as well.
Well, we're not going to turn down the money. Right?
Absolutely not.
Absolutely not. When we talk about the opportunity to really connect with people, I
Yeah.
think that talk to me a little bit about and share with me a little bit about that power, right? Knowing somebody who's probably been through the system just like me, and now I've got somebody here working in this environment, or I'm a classmate with somebody. What kind of power does that give a young person seeing somebody's been there, done that, got a T-shirt, and still rocking with me?
It's what we say all the time. Representation matters, right? If I could see that you can come through it, then I definitely believe in myself, right? And I could see what you've done with the lemons that were given to you. You made more than just lemonade, right? You created a stand, you created food, you created a whole line out of it. And that type of inspiration our young people need to be given back over and over so they can pay it forward.
So who actually qualifies for the program? There's a parent out there watching right now. So listen, I may have a young person involved in the criminal justice system. Is this an opportunity? Is there an opportunity for me?
Yes, absolutely. So we have various programs, right? If your child is charged and they're between the ages of 12 to 25 with an eligible misdemeanor or felony, and they're through the DA's office, go to your DA's office and ask about diversion options, right? Ask if there's another alternative to an incarceration. If they're not in that, and if you feel that your child is just as aligned or in that type of behavior and you want to do more preventative, you can also refer them to Young New Yorkers, as we have preventative programs as well. And this is across all 5 boroughs from 12 to 25 years old.
The arts.
Yes.
You're using the arts really to reach young people.
Yeah.
There's, in the school system, it's the first thing that gets cut out of the budget. Arts, music, sports, right?
Yeah.
How impactful for you? Give me your argument for why the arts should be sustainable, especially when we see proven results.
Because we've seen proven results is why it should be sustainable.
Right, that's like the answer, right?
That's pretty much it, right? I mean, what justification do we have to remove it besides fiscal, right? There's no harm being caused with giving a child balance to dreaming beyond the structure of a 9 to 5 and being able to fill out just basic paperwork. What about the dreamers that created your Facebooks, your dreamers who created your Apples, your dreamers who created the idea of a Black History Month in the first place, right? That comes from being able to expand, to see yourself outside of one dimension, right? And so there's an impact that you have when you remove that from young people, especially those who are in trauma all the time. Where do they go for relief? Right? Where do they go for soothing? It removes them from that agency. So I think art gives them agency, right? It gives them access, where access will be cut off based off of very trivial reasons. So that's why I think that art is very powerful. We see it being used in incarceral settings, right? Marked in Time is a very interesting book, right? That delves into the power of art in carceral spaces and how folks who are incarcerated are using art to express themselves and tell their stories. And so if we're able to fund it in carceral settings, why would we take it outside of it?
Right. We talk a little bit about recidivism in our community, the fact of knowing that there's a possibility there's some young people that's going to make it back, right? When you look at your program, talk to me about the recidivism rate. And what are you seeing, by the way? Once a person leaves, pretty much are we finding that, listen, we've helped them to find their place, and, they're good.
Yeah, it's hard to measure recidivism, right? Because you're looking at 6 months out, year out, 10 years out, right?
Right.
And then are they being rearrested for the same type of crime, right? Or is it something larger? And so all of those factors play into being able to measure what recidivism is. What I can say is that we have a 100% successful referral rate. So all the young people come to us and get in a program, they complete their program, right?
That's awesome.
And I think that's great. We also follow up with our young folks. So within the time period that I've been there, we haven't had young folks that have been referred to our program, completed our program, and then months later be rearrested, right? That we can count less than 2%, if that, right? And a lot of that comes from us and the industry itself being able to give more than just one service, but go deeper into what is the issue that got you connected to this issue in the first place, right? And if we can get to that, then we can really start to unpack some of this recidivism issues we are seeing.
Put some context on this for me.
Yeah.
What about the young person that comes from the courthouse, right? They're coming from the courthouse, they've been arrested. Am I really an art person, or do you just introduce me to art and now I begin to find my flow?
We get that all the time. It's both, right? So no, you don't have to be an artist, but do you know if you're an artist or not? Right? Who tells you you're an artist? Right? No one tells you that. Right? So we introduce, but a lot of times, and I wish I had some of the work here, is brilliant. Right? The work that they're producing is gorgeous work, and it's not. I'm not being biased, but they don't know they have it in them, right? Because someone either told them they're not an artist, they didn't feel they weren't an artist. So we get away from those barriers. We give you a piece of paper, we give you some paint, we say let's create, right? So for instance, we have based one of our last cycles off of The Danger of a Single Story, right? For Chimamanda Ngozi story, and that allows our young people to center themselves around the gossip, right? Understand who are you on the other side of things? What is your new narrative, right? Henry Taylor's the B-side, right? At the Whitney Museum. We use him as an idea to help young people understand what is that new side to you, right? So I think it's the way that, one, you present the art, two, the medium you give them, and the flexibility to allow them to create without a rubric.
Well, you give us all the information we need to know.
Yes.
Now we know if there's somebody out there, they can definitely get connected to you.
Yes.
I don't know if you can make me an artist, though. That's if you make me an artist.
Your glasses is giving artsy already, you know?
We rocking already.
Rocking, right?
Bobbie, thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you so much. No
All
problem.
right, listen, now if you want more information, do me a favor. Visit the website. What's the website, Daren? YoungNewYorkers.org. We encourage you to go there. And we encourage you also don't go anywhere, because we got more open coming up right after this.